There's many masterminds going on there, whether it's at a freaking bar, on a freaking yacht. How much do you think you spent in your lifetime on mastermind?
Bro, easily over 100K, probably close to like 200K.
Welcome to the LFG Let's Fucking Go show, where we're talking to self-made business owners who didn't grow up with no silver spoons in their mouths and fucking worked hard, hustled their asses off, paid their dues, and now they're living good lives. They're making money. They're fucking traveling all over the world. They're creating memorable moments. On these shows, we're going to talk about what I call LFG Let's Fucking Go moments. I feel like everyone that's been successful has had some sort of moment in their life where they took massive action, and that massive action, it was like a let's fucking go. I got to make some moves. I got to go moment. And that massive action was really like an epiphany. It helped them get to where they are now, and it helps them in their daily interactions and helps them in their daily business acumen get to those points. So today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine. His name is John Casto.
Thanks for having me again, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.
I've known John for about 1.5 years, and it's just crazy how it feels like I've known you for a lot longer. I feel like I've known you for like 10 years, and we've done some good business together. I'm fucking pumped about a good 2024 coming up. So tell the viewers here, what do you do?
So I've been in the affiliate space as a lead generator, now more into pay-per-call the last few months. But I come from years of doing online advertising. I did drop shipping and e-commerce for 3 to 4 years leading up to this. And before that, I actually owned a brick and mortar gym for 9 years. That was my first business.
Can you explain, because a lot of people watching this, they know us from the affiliate marketing space, but some people are going to have no idea what affiliate marketing is. And can you tell exactly what it is? Exactly. Can you break that down like in a simple form?
Yeah. So let's say you have an insurance company that needs new customers, right? So what we do is we run crazy ads that get people to click. We have unique angles to incentivize someone why it's worth their time to click and go to a website and either fill out a form or complete a short survey, pre-qualify for the insurance offer, whatever that may be. If it's like a government subsidized program, for example, and then click in and call and talk to a live person, right? So basically create an opportunity for a business owner.
Got it. And I don't know if the viewers know, affiliate marketing is massive. I mean, we know a lot of people who are just crushing it, people that didn't have any experience doing it. The barriers to entry are low, but you got to pay your dues, right? It's not something that you get right away. And I think it's like any business. You had a gym, right? I'm sure you had your ups and downs with the gym as well. Business takes fucking time. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to be willing to go through a lot of sleepless nights, you know? So can you tell us something about that, whether it has to do with the gym or affiliate marketing? Like, give us some examples of some nights where like, what the fuck am I doing? Why did I do this? And why am I not just having a regular 9-to-5 job like 95% of people? Can you share some of those moments with us?
Yeah. I think it goes back to like the attitude I developed when I started my gym, right? Because a lot of those, I feel like that was like my learning years. Obviously I'm still learning now, but those were my formative years is being in business, being self-employed. And I remember at one point I started this business. I'd quit my job. I literally just did it on a whim. I hated working for someone. I wanted to start a gym. I'd been a personal trainer before. I had a few clients, but nothing really, right? And I was doing all sorts of marketing. I was doing all the crazy stuff where like you would buy the ground signs and you stick them in on the street corner. Wow. And then you get like, sometimes the county's calling you like, hey, we're going to fine you if you don't come and pick up these damn signs, you know? So I was just pretty much scrambling, hustling, learning business, learning marketing, learning sales. While also I was just a personal trainer. That's all I was at that point. And at one point I remember it was on my probably like 23rd or 24th birthday where I was making basically no money. I looked at my friends, they were all working, you know, successful jobs, right? Making their 30, 40K, whatever it was, entry level. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? And I remember this very, very clearly. It was like a very formative moment where I was like, okay, do I continue on this and just make it work? Or do I just give up and go get a job? I felt like a loser, you know, like especially those years if you go to university, all your friends get a job and they're making something, they're having fun, they're going to happy hours, you know. I was freaking broke, man. It sucked. Right. So I remember on my birthday that day, I made the choice And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this work. And I remember I had a leads list and I picked up the phone and I started calling and calling. I spent like 3 or 4 hours on my birthday on like a Saturday just calling leads.
And you were young too, right? Like in your early 20s.
Yeah.
So your friends are probably
It was the last thing I wanted to do.
They'd be getting hammered 24 shots and you're busting your ass. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember someone picked up and they booked a sales appointment with me. And I think that was like God giving me a sign. Yeah. Hey man, like don't give up. One of my strengths is just like perseverance, just pushing. Even if you're hammering, into a rock, it feels like sometimes I feel like that's just something that I developed in those years.
That's awesome. That's great for the guests. It's funny, when I was 24, I got a sales job and I was a bond broker dialing for dollars, making a lot of calls. And I had one guy bought $100,000 worth of bonds from me. And that was my like LFG moment. Like, wow, sales is for real. And I hated sales. I'm like, the fuck? I went to NYU business school, one of the top 10 business schools in the country, studied marketing. Like, why am I on the phone cold? I feel like a loser too, right? But when I got that $100,000 sale and I made a few $1,000 commission at 23, 24, I'm like, I'm never going to do anything else but sales for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for over 20 years, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. I read somewhere, or heard from somebody that no one really goes into sales to go into sales. They do it almost out of necessity because you got to do it for survival, right? Do you consider yourself a natural salesperson? Is something that you just learned on the way, or like, let's talk about that.
I spent a lot of money and a lot of time working on myself. It really is the ultimate form of self-development, like martial arts or fitness. It's the mental side of it, right? Like, right? Because the communicative skill set of being able to not just, you don't want to force someone into a sale. You want to influence them in a positive way. It's really ultimately someone's decision to buy.
Yeah.
Having the gym, a lot of this goes back to that time in the gym.
Yeah.
But it came down to that because I thought, oh, you just open a business and like people just show up. And that's absolutely not how it works, especially in this space where it's online, it's less connected. You get maybe 10 opportunities face to face to actually land a big buyer, right? Everything's virtual. So it's even harder if you're not willing to grind out the time, put in the effort to actually meet with people virtually or face to face.
Yeah.
But I remember when I opened my gym, I was just like burning money the first few months. I was like, what am I doing? And I went down a path very deep for years of just learning sales, like how to sell effectively. What's a good offer? I learned from Alex Ramosi. So everyone listening probably knows Alex Ramosi. Yeah. He's blown up over the last 3 years with his, like, I guess like an investment fund or a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Acquisition.com. Right. And he actually had a gym sales training program where he taught gym owners a sales system with Facebook ads. So this actually is why I do what I do today.
Yeah.
He taught me how to sell high ticket. So $700 up to $5,000 for a package, right? Which is high ticket for a gym. But yeah, like that changed my life. I remember we went from doing $10,000 to $12,000 in revenue per month. So like our biggest month was like $60,000 for a gym, like a small gym. That's not bad, man.
Yeah.
You know,
and this was Virginia.
It's Virginia, outside of Washington D.C.
Wow, I love that because, and I've known you for a while, but I never asked you that. How did you go from being in a gym, owning a gym, to getting into online marketing? I didn't realize the connection with the Facebook ads and Alex Ramosi and how it's all connected at the end of the day. And one thing I'd say that sounds like that was one of your LFG moments. Like I want to do my own thing. I'm gonna fucking make this work, and you made it and it happened. But the thing is that you might be somewhere right now, but where you're at right now might be laying the foundation for where you're going to be tomorrow or a year from now, right? So that's good inspirational story right there. You had the gym, right? Obviously, that was a passion of yours, right? It seems like that was one of your passions. You pursued that. You made money doing that. You sold the gym. What did you do after the exit? Did you get right into affiliate marketing? What spurred you to just go right into it? Like, tell us about that transition.
Yeah, so I actually made the decision. I joined Alex Ramosi's coaching program in 2016 or 2017, very early, like the first year or two that he was doing it. So I saw the magic of a good offer with marketing and then effective sales on the back end. So I learned like the real business fundamentals that is the backbone to like affiliate marketing or lead generation or pay-per-call, all the stuff we do today. And what was interesting was I transitioned into doing e-commerce the last few years I had the gym, but I knew I wanted to sell the gym. Like I loved helping people. I really genuinely enjoy seeing someone improve their life. Like it's really fulfilling to see that. I train jujitsu. I try to be as helpful and ask for nothing in return in that same sense, and coach my partners, right? To this day, right? Just because I enjoy it. I got more of a high from the sales and the marketing side. I knew I wanted a bigger opportunity vehicle fitness is great. It's just not I wasn't passionate about being like the personal trainer with 7% body fat. That was, doing all these crazy workout videos, putting out tons of content. Just wasn't my thing. I did one bodybuilding show. I'll never do that again.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll show you the picture sometime. It was funny, man. But I made a decision before I sold the gym that I wanted to transition to like a bigger opportunity vehicle. Like Hormozy always talks about. It's about the skill set matched with the right opportunity vehicle. So I started doing drop shipping, which you learn how to use Facebook ads at a larger scale. You're testing tons of offers. You get really deep on conversion rate optimization. And then during COVID, during 2020, 2021, it got complicated with Facebook, with fulfillment, all this stuff. And everything started pushing me towards lead generation, pay-per-call. I saw a lot of my e-commerce friends shifting into affiliate marketing, specifically like lead gen at that time. Yeah. And at first I dabbled, I didn't commit. I went back to drop shipping. And then I helped someone with their Facebook stuff, our buddy Marty, right? Yeah. And then he's like, dude, what are you doing? Just do this. And he's the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Right. So that pushed me into lead generation. I got very lucky with my first few campaigns. I was almost making money all the time, like right out the gate, which is not common. But I think it was all those years of doing drop shipping. And that's where I would like make money and I'd lose money. And I'd try stuff and I would fail, win, fail, win.
Yeah. Right.
So I think all that compounded. And when I arrived at affiliate marketing, lead generation, pay-per-call, it was easy. In some sense,
you had a leg up, is what I had, because you had that experience.
I went through the learning, the bottom of the learning curve, like the bottom section. Yeah. I started here whereas most people are starting with like, what's a Facebook ad?
Yeah. Those connections, everything's connected, right? The gym, you learn how to talk with people, you learn how to sell, right? And then you learn about Facebook advertising, and you take these classes, you network, and then all of a sudden you're doing drop shipping. And then drop shipping, if you can get someone to click on an ad to purchase something online via e-com, you can get them to click on an ad for a lead generation, whether it's, solar leads, whether it's their credit card debt and they want to get out. You learn what angle. So it's all connected at the end of the day, right? So I love that. And let me ask you a question. You talked about you spent a lot of money on Masterminds, Alex Hormozy. How much do you think you spent in your lifetime on Masterminds? And I don't know. I guess you could include these events we go to, because there's many masterminds going on there, whether it's at a freaking bar or whether it's somewhere, on a freaking yacht. Like you're networking and mastermind. What do you think you spent in total since you got into business?
Bro, easily over 100K, probably close to like 200K.
Yeah.
But Hormozy's probably sitting on like 40K of mine. Like wow. I was in his coaching program for like 2 years. That was super formative for me and just like who I am today. Yeah. But I also did a lot of self-development, like NLP training, kind of like the Tony Robbins stuff. I did Landmark. Did a lot of work with this guy named Michael Burnoff, where it was very like self-introspective, a little bit of woo, not like woo-woo. It's very like practical woo-woo with like attraction and stuff, like, but not the hippie stuff. You see people like sitting there like chanting your wish and it's like very practical state-based energy, how you manage your energy, how that impacts like attraction of opportunity. Cause I believe in that stuff, man. Like I know you do. Yeah. I've seen you attract opportunities in front of my eyes, like at events and stuff. Yeah. And it's the same principles. It's like your energy, your inner state, all that also has a big impact on your ability to sell, your ability to influence, your ability to communicate.
If you talk, I talk about our industry doesn't have a lot of barriers to entry, but in a sense, I think a lot of barriers to entry in our business or any business are people's limiting beliefs. Right? People have these limiting beliefs and they're like, oh, I don't have $200,000 to spend. They might hear that number like, that's a lot of fucking money. And it's all about perspective. We might have someone else listening and be like, 200,000 ain't shit. I do that every fucking year. I got a buddy of mine. He spends $250,000 a year for Tony Robbins, like lying inner circle. He's been in Tony Robbins' house. He's been on fucking helicopters with him. So to him, 200,000 every year is like, okay, that's nothing, right? But it's all perspective. So at the end of the day, it starts with one thing. For me, it was like reading books. When I was in my early 20s, I'd buy a book for $10 at Barnes & Noble, and that $10 turned into thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, right? So you start with one thing, then it leads to another. Then I went to a Tony Robbins event. I spent $900, which was a lot of money for me at the time. And then before you know it, now I'm spending 10 grand at Tony Robbins Business Mastery, but that's bringing me X and X. So I think I'm with you. I've definitely spent six figures, 200,000 plus at these events. But it's your tuition. We go to college to learn. We want to get a degree to that's our entryway into some of these jobs. But this is like, you got to have a lot of street smarts, right, to get into a business. A lot of stuff you can learn yourself through going to these masterminds, networking with people and so forth. So that's a fucking great story, man. And Another thing that I like about you, I want the viewers to know, is that you travel like crazy, man. And I know I travel a lot. You're up there. You travel like nuts. You just came from Japan. You were in Bangkok. I think you went somewhere else. I don't fucking know where you went, but your stories on Instagram were amazing. Like, I felt like I was there with you, seeing what's going on in Japan. And I think that that's one of the benefits to the industry that we're in. You don't have to be locked in at a 9 to 5 in front of a desk, right? So tell us more about that. Tell about, how does that help you with business? Some people might think we're crazy. Like, how the fuck do you do business traveling all over the world? But we get it done, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, all my friends think I'm up to something because they see me flying.
Yeah, I think we're doing some nefarious shit.
Well, I just moved to Colombia. I moved to Medellin, and I'm in Miami today. So how does that look, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and you're gone tomorrow.
And I'm going back to Miami or Colombia tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because like I've always valued traveling, experience, seeing other cultures. So I just feel like super privileged. I have not just like the means to do it, but also the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a ton of friends that work traditional 9 to 5 jobs, but I know people, and it's like excruciatingly painful for me to hear someone say, "Oh, I just don't have like the vacation." Like they have the money, but I just don't have the vacation time off.
Yeah.
And they already hate what they do. Like I quit my job years back when I decided I wanted to open a gym and start like a fitness program. I quit because one of my best friends, Danny, had left after he finished university. He actually dropped out of university early. His stepdad was one of the first Koreans to bring martial arts to Northern Virginia.
Wow.
And he wanted to follow his footsteps. So he went to another city and launched his own school.
Yeah.
And he was a couple years ahead of me. I was still finishing university.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, how much fun he was having. He was going to all these events like Dan Kennedy and all these like direct response events, like back in like 2010, 2011. It was like a new thing to go to, like before Russell Brunson was big.
Yeah.
Like that's how far back we're going. And I was like, that was my inspiration because he didn't have to answer to anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that. Yeah. That inspired me to quit my job.
Yeah.
Like literally cold quit. I walked in the office. I was like, hey, this isn't for me. Like 6 months into working, my first job out of university. And I think that hunger for like the freedom and flexibility, valuing different things versus, I mean, when you're young, like I bought like a Range Rover at one point. That was super dumb. I lost like 10 grand trying to sell it. I'll still buy another one, but when it's a smarter decision, like those things are cool. But I think having the flexibility and privilege to be able to travel and go see parts of the world, it's to me, like my personal values, it's somewhere at the top of the list.
You brought your wife with you on that trip. I mean, she must have had the time of her life, right? I mean, look, she was super happy.
Man. We stopped at something fun that we did, and some people probably laugh at this. I thought it was super cool. So we were in Japan and we were trying to make our way to Bangkok, which was like the excuse to do this whole trip in the first place for Affiliate World for the conference.
Yeah.
And I was looking at how do we get there, and I'm a big like point travel hacker. I geek out on like how do we use our points and never have to pay, but we fly like in the best flights. Yeah. And I was looking, I was like, oh man, all these options kind of suck. Like all the flights are really expensive. They're an economy. It's like 8 hours. I sound like an asshole saying this, I know. But like when you got like 2 million points sitting there, you don't want to sit in like this for like 8 hours if you don't have to. So I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, I probably have to pay for a flight. That's fine. I'll save these points for later. Where do we go? Like we could fly direct. It's actually more expensive, surprisingly, to get to Thailand. And I saw I could either I could stop in Hong Kong. So the connection was through Hong Kong or it was through Taiwan. I was like, well, what's the cost if I just add 2 days here in between and I just see what's happening in Taiwan, Taipei or in Hong Kong. So I was like, okay, it was cheaper to stop over in Hong Kong for 2 days.
Yeah.
We saw Hong Kong in like half a day. There's not much there, right? It's cool.
Surprising. Yeah.
It's cool. It's tiny, man. Yeah. Like it's a small, big city. But what is in Hong Kong is Disneyland. So we went to Disneyland like off peak time of the year. There's barely anyone there. It was super cool, and they had all the Christmas stuff too. Yeah. So that was like a really cool experience. Like something that I couldn't do if I worked like at a bank or even something that maybe was like remote. Good luck on a different time zone, different part of the world, last minute. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I love that. Let me ask you about Disney in Japan. Do they, I saw you at, it's a small world, right? Did they sing it in Japanese or how does that work?
It was identical.
In English?
Yeah. That was Chinese because you're in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
I didn't go to the one.
I'm thinking about you're in Japan. Yeah.
Fun fact, Japan. What's the population of Japan, roughly?
70 million.
132 million.
Wow. That's
On
huge.
a small landmass.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that when we got to Tokyo, I was overwhelmed by the number of humans there. They're very efficient. Like the public transportation stuff is the best in the world.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of people, man. And
Yeah.
it's because like a large majority of the population is in the greater Tokyo area, which is one of the largest cities in the world.
That's
Fun
crazy,
fact.
man. I love it. So we talk about travel a lot. I mean, I tell you what, when I travel, I go to these events, I feel like I come back a different person. I grow as a person, right? And I think that's one of the beautiful things about our industry and why a lot of people who are listening, maybe you haven't gotten to doing your own business, but you do have that flexibility, especially in the world that we're in with internet marketing and lead generation and all of that, right? Plus, you get to have fun. I mean, you've been with me. I go fucking hard, man. I mean, conference might start at 8 a.m. I'm there shortly after. I'm going out.
You're coming straight from the club sometimes.
Yeah, 4 or 5 or more. I sleep 1 or 2 hours and I go do it. You have an online coaching program, right? Where you teach people affiliate marketing. Have you done that in the past? I think you're about to relaunch it.
Yeah.
Tell people about that and the benefit is given to a lot of the people in your group.
We built a course that specifically teaches normally some we can help beginners, but generally it's like people that have been doing e-commerce or some form of media buying, how to specifically do pay per lead with posted leads where you capture all the data yourself. You're not sending it to like an offer owned site or someone else's landing page. It's all your data. And you basically begin to find ways to monetize it, right?
Yeah.
You create first party data, which with all these rulings in accord with the government, it's becoming probably more and more important that you know how to at least capture your own data and then monetize it.
Yeah.
So because caps can be limited, meaning the ability to actually sell your data and monetize your leads, it can ebb and flow because there's not a ton of buyers for these types of leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the end buyer, the insurance company wants you to send traffic to their website, so you don't actually get the data. But for this specific type of lead where it's yours and then you sell it to the buyer, it's not always cap, right? Meaning like budget.
Yeah.
There is, depending on the time of year, we typically sell to like attorneys. We do what's called mass tort, like class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
So I don't just leave it as like an open running course, but we do open up a couple spots every 1 or 2 months, depending on just where budgets are. Cause I don't want to give up all my budget that then just pass it to all the students.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So we will be opening it up again. I don't have a date yet, but probably the next like month or two.
Yeah. I met one of your students that I ran a very good solar campaign for several months, maybe 6-7 months. We had a very good run. And I think my company was spending about $150,000 a month with him at our peak. And that was just through us. So he must've been doing $500,000 plus a month. But I don't know if that's the best story of one of your students, but what's the best story in terms of what you've seen them do in terms of ad spend on a daily, monthly basis?
You know, in our first group that we ran in February of 2023, 2 out of 8 of the guys really stood out from the pack. And they're
25%.
Still,
that's good.
Yeah, they're still. I mean, some of the guys did pretty well too, but these 2 specifically, they took exactly what I taught them, and they've been building it and scaling it over time. Yeah. Actually, one of the networks that I was telling you about on the way here that I didn't even know about at that time, they found them, they started running with them, and they actually that network just reached out to me and said, "Hey, these 2 guys you trained." They've been awesome. Like we want to do more business with you. Yeah. And this is why I say like, we'll be opening up more spots for enrollment soon because these guys supposedly have somewhat of an unlimited budget so they can handle more volume, which I'm super excited about.
What do you think it was about those 2 guys that made them different? Like they're the commonality between them as opposed to the other 8 guys. And the one thing I would say, first of all, they spent money on this program. They took time. Time is money too, obviously. Right. So that to me is like, hey, those 8 people, hats off to them for at least attempting to do this and spending time and money on this, right? So that's one thing. They had the desire, which is a key thing, right? It's like a let's fucking go moment. Let's figure this out, right? So what else do you think separated them? Why are they doing so much better than everybody else?
One part is their background. So both of them had experience with dropshipping, e-commerce, and then also some form of affiliate marketing. Yeah. So they did have some past experience, although it's not necessarily a requirement, right? Yeah. I remember, so I was doing weekly coaching calls. They were on the calls every single week. I think it's not like a guarantee, but like I remember one of the guys was living in Thailand at the time. He still showed up on a US time zone.
Wow.
Yeah. Like kind of like a weird hour just to be on the call. So really, I think it's just like anything in life. It's like, why does a person lose weight at the gym? It's because they're consistent. They hold themselves accountable and they just do what you're supposed to do. Right. Yeah. More or less. Right. And the timing was really good at that time. Mass tort which
Yeah.
I was pushing them to, the budgets were really big.
Yeah.
So it was like timing plus they did everything right.
That's so huge. Consistency, right? It's really what consistency wins the race.
Anything in life, man.
Anything in life. Doesn't matter. You're freaking doing affiliate marketing. You know, you're working a 9 to 5. If you're more consistent than your people working with you, you're going to get that raise quicker. You're going to get that promotion. You're going to get that bump, right? And that experience you earn while you learn is going to help you start your own business if you want to, right? So that's very something people don't talk about enough. I think is that consistency aspect.
And especially in this industry where it's very inconsistent naturally.
Yeah.
Right. Even the stable things like insurance, it's very it can be seasonal to an extent, right? Medicare, for Obamacare, Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
We're talking about like tax, right?
Yeah.
Like processing tax returns, like all that has like a seasonal peak. So everything ebbs and flows. It's just if you're consistent through the nuances and the ups and downs of the offers, that's the hardest part. Because a lot of times you'll like latch on the one and you'll ride it to the top and you'll come crashing down as an affiliate. Yeah. You'll come crashing down with the campaign, kind of lost, not knowing where to go next.
So I know we talked about a couple of LFG moments. Do you have any other LFG moments you want to share with the team, or whether it's with business, life, or whatever, like anything particular that happened recently in the past year?
Let me give 2 or 3 quick ideas. So the first is what this industry can do. So keep in mind, when I moved into lead generation pay-per-call, I had years of running ads. I conversion rate optimization with e-commerce, so I had a lot of this base skill sets already. I wasn't starting fresh, not saying this is impossible if you are starting fresh, but it did help. So I don't want to like say you're guaranteed to do this because I did it, right? Yeah. But it is possible, what I'm about to share. One of my biggest early campaigns was the Camp Lejeune class action lawsuit. Yeah. Right. Where a bunch of Marines got sick for years, and now they're getting compensated because they should. The Marines were aware of the toxic chemicals in the water, and they just kept giving them the water. Really messed up. The biggest day that I did, this was my aha moment. I spent probably $7,000 in ad spend, and we had over $27,000 in sales.
Wow.
Like
about 4 to 1. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of business you could do that in. Yeah. Now, was that every day? Absolutely not. But that was like the peak. And I had great days and weeks leading up to that and great days that followed that with a lot of like stable marginal consistency after. Yeah. So in this industry, like that actually does happen. I know guys that have done much bigger numbers than that. This is with like live ads running to a landing page and getting form bills. I know guys that do SMS. It costs them pennies. And they'll see 10x the return. Yeah. They'll spend 10,000, they'll make 100,000. Yeah. This does happen. It's nuts. Yeah. The second thing is to be not to be short-sighted, right? Like in most things in life, like sure, there's some things it's a quick cash grab, great, go do it. But especially in a business, this is a business, right? So in a business and industry like this, a lot of guys I meet, they're super short-sighted. They only think about what's in it for me. And it's really sad, but I also see myself having more consistency over time with them and just a better reputation. Like this is, I was telling Dave, or I was telling you on the way over here, in my opinion, this industry, it's very small. It just feels very big because everyone's so spread out all over the world, all over the country. So I think really just investing in long-term thinking with your relationships is huge. That will set you apart, if not in 3 months, for sure in 3 years. This is just true in life, right?
Yeah. It's all great advice. And I've been in the business world for over 2 decades, man. I forget it. I feel like, I'm 44, but sometimes I feel like I'm a 65-year-old. All the stuff I've been through, right? But with that being said, you see commonalities, you see patterns, right? And everything you said, I mean, think about it as a race. Don't think short term, think long term. You got to take losses sometimes to get the big wins, right? So it's happened with us on some campaigns where today it happened. We took
small credit, like 10K we had to split. Yeah. Just because the end buyer wasn't satisfied. We came in too expensive for them. So just to sustain the relationship, so no one really loses long term. But we ate it today, but we'll win the next. Yeah, we'll win the next one.
We're thinking long term because we know that 10K, we do the right thing, that'll turn into hundreds of thousands, not millions, with this particular buyer. He's been a good buyer to us. So we're going to treat him good. He'll appreciate that. 9 out of 10 people wouldn't do what we did today and wouldn't do it as quickly. It'd be a back and forth negotiation. We're not negotiating. Hey, you know what? You feel like that's what you want? Okay, boom, let's do this. And then we'll continue doing business together, right? So that's what you got to do sometimes in life. You got You got to look long term instead of short term. And I appreciate you bringing that up for the audience to hear. What advice would you give someone trying to get into the industry and someone that's maybe in the industry already, but maybe it's been a crazy year 2023 in the industry. A lot of fucking ups and downs, man, like crazy. Like what advice would you give the person that's getting into it and the person that's maybe in it, but they're going through this roller coaster ride right now?
For someone that's thinking about getting into affiliate marketing specifically, or just online marketing in general, I would challenge you to ask yourself what you're really naturally good at. Because I think that like I've developed skill sets for things that I'm not naturally good at.
Yeah.
I'm not a data guy. Like I'm not super meticulous and organized with anything in my life. But I believe there's things you're naturally good at. So like double down on those and then find the accessory skill sets and then develop those. But don't try to do something you're just not built for. Like if you're super introverted, if you're very data driven, you're super analytical, you're not great at talking to people, you probably shouldn't try to go chase down like the biz dev route or be a broker, right? It's just not a good fit. Whereas vice versa, if you're like super extroverted, you can't sit still behind a computer for more than 5 minutes. You should absolutely not be the guy trying to manage the media buying or the gal, right? And so I think that's the first thing. Before you go into any endeavor, like where's your natural personality and flow and skill set? What accessory skill sets do you have or do you want to develop around that? And then, because you could be successful doing most people could be successful doing most things,
Absolutely.
right? And then for someone that's in the industry, if they're having a hard time, I would challenge them to like really tap into relationships. Like I got on a call with a guy you introduced me to that actually lives in Metagen. Mm-hmm. And super, super nice guy. I offered to pay for his time. I said, hey man, like I'm struggling with YouTube. I need help with this. He gave me, 30, 40 minutes of his time that we would not have landed there had Dave come to Metagen to visit and then introduce this guy. And then we got along and we grabbed each other's numbers. Right. So just like putting yourself out there, bridging and forging those relationships and then honing into them when you need help. Like, a lot of guys have too much ego to just say, hey man, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me. Especially when I've been doing this stuff for 10 plus years. Like sometimes you just gotta suck it up and put the ego to the side, I follow a lot of the drop shippers, like the younger guys that I remember when I got in the drop shipping, I was like 20, 28 or 29. And there were these kids like 16, 17 years old with YouTube channels, putting up numbers 10 times bigger than me. Right. So that never felt great. Yeah. But I still follow a lot of these guys. Right. Like, whatever, drop shipping's got a mixed reputation, but the point is, like, I know some of these guys have legitimately done huge numbers, huge volume, and I look to them and I look for advice and ideas and inspiration. I don't know everything, like, so I think that's a huge thing. Letting go of your ego, even if you don't want to be the guy that like sits on your 20 years of experience or your 30 years of experience as to why you're always right. I think looking for how you may not be right and how you may not know everything and being open-minded that someone might know something you don't know, especially these younger kids that were born in this time where like there was an iPhone sitting there when they were like in a cradle, like they know stuff we don't know. I think that's the reality. Just being open-minded to not knowing everything.
I love that. You mentioned Colombia. Obviously I have a sweet spot for Colombia. My wife is from Colombia, from Medellin, right? And I know you moved over there, and I think what I like, and I think one commonality of people that are successful, especially in our industry and anywhere, is that wherever they're at, they find opportunities, right? And who would have known that Medellin has such a flourishing digital nomad community, affiliate marketing community? Can you talk a little bit about that? What your experience has been like there, personally and business wise? Because I mean, like we talked about that one person, Rafael, who I met him in New York, and he's from Medellin. Oh, your wife's from Medellin. And I go there all the time. I have a call center near there. And then all of a sudden I happened to meet up with him. You were there, we got together, and now, you guys are connected, right? So can you talk a little bit about that, how your experience has been over there and how, I guess that's, you create your own luck, right? Is what it comes down to at the end of the day. So
that's what my Instagram says.
Yeah, does it say that?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Literally says that. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. It's been awesome. Like I lived in the DC, Northern Virginia area since 2001, too long in my opinion. Before that I was moving around a lot. But since moving to Metagen, I kind of knew it was a hub for digital nomads, maybe not so much like higher level performance marketers, right? But I knew I was going to find more guys that probably do what I do there versus Northern Virginia, DC, where it's like half the people work for the government or the school system. Yeah. It's cool, just not my crowd, right? Yeah. I live a less conventional life. So it's been a blessing being in Metagen. I've met some incredibly successful people in the performance marketing space. One of the guys I actually connected with when I was helping people with Facebook bans back in 2021, I helped him with a bunch of his accounts. And I was like, hey man, I'll be moving to Metagen at some point in the future. I don't know when, but I had his number. I hit him up when I got there. And like we went out, like me and Zulma went and met up with him and his wife. We had dinner at their place. I had lunch with him a few times. I've connected him with some other people. This guy runs one of the largest agencies I know. They do massive numbers. And he was actually a part of Athletic Greens. If you know Athletic Greens,
big.
They're worth
I think I bought that at one point.
$1.3 billion valuation.
Wow.
They were started in Metagen. So this guy was in early with the founder. Like he was very foundational in the company.
Wow.
So there are guys like that there. It's really cool. And then there's other like affiliates that run up a couple 100,000 a month in volume. And obviously they know something, right? So it's been cool. Like I found more people that do what I do or something similar to what I do there than back home. And I think when you're in a different environment like that, where there are like a lot of expats, people are more open to connecting, right? And putting themselves out there and networking and making new friends and communities. And that's been huge for me.
You know, people that want to be successful, you got to get out of where you have to move. You have to sometimes you got to fucking go. You got to get out of where you're at and go somewhere new, a new environment, see a new scenery, and it just opens your mind up a little bit and creates opportunities, right? So
you get out of your
comfort zone.
Ruts.
Yeah, get out of your rut, man. Because when you're seeing, listen, I'm a Jersey guy. I lived right in front of New York City. It was hard to move out of there. I moved to South Carolina. That was fucking crazy. But like we had a successful call center that I ran. That I didn't own it, but it led to me owning my own call centers later on, right? So I had to get out of that comfort zone. Then went back to Jersey. Now I'm in Miami. And I go to Colombia a lot, and being in Miami, I was like, first, like, what the fuck, man? I can't find good pizza here or whatever. But now I'm loving it, right? I get my pizza fixed when I go back to Jersey, right? You know that. But the point is that I'm meeting people that are doing some big fucking things. Miami's a hub right now for internet marketing. It's a hub for a lot of shit. So you got to do that, and it helps you grow as a person. Don't be stale and stuck in the same place. Sometimes you just got to fucking go.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will take the Jersey out of you, man. But I think the fact that you're in Miami is going to be massive for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I feel the same way about you being in Metagen. And you only been there like 3 months and you're already making shit happen, right? You've been to our call center. We're going to collaborate on a bunch of stuff in 2024 related to that, plus other things. So you got to do that sometimes. And we're close. 2.5 hour flight. Boom, we're right there, right? Man. So it's cool. All right, well, listen, I appreciate your time. The last thing I want to say, John, I mean, you've been a very big influence. I know it's been a short amount of time. I feel like I've known you for a long time. You're not just like a business associate. You're a really good friend of mine. You actually helped motivate me to start this podcast because I was talking earlier. We went to a Pelicon in Tampa. It was an event, an affiliate event that Carter York and Romano Muniz started. And what a bunch of killers at this show, right? It was phenomenal. I got a little over exuberant. I drank a little bit too much. You had a camera crew there. They were filming me saying all sorts of crazy shit. And it was a hit within our community, right? Dude. And then you were like, yeah, you should start your own. You need to fucking have someone follow you. You should start your own podcast. And you're fucking right. And boom, here we are, man. So, you know, I appreciate you being a good inspiration. Not only that, you're just somebody that you're consistent. You talk about consistency. You're consistent in the way you operate. You operate on really high morals, high values. You would never fuck anyone over, and that goes a long way in our industry, right? And you're a great teacher, and that's why I think that community that you created has been so successful. That's why you got a couple killers out of there that are putting up big numbers. So I think that's gonna be great when you get the community started again. I think everyone here definitely hits you up on that. Take advantage of it because it's something that creates great value. Appreciate you, man. You've been a great person to just be around, spend time with, do business with. Like I got to know your family too. It's super cool, man. This is a challenging industry to find like good-hearted, trustworthy people that care more than just about being at the club till like 6 a.m. and then doing illegal activities after. You're the guy that stays at the club till 6 a.m. and then wakes up and gets to work the next day. Big difference in personality, right? I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we know our industry is fucking. I mean, you got a lot of degenerates. You got a lot of straight edge people. Degenerates is the key word. But there are mostly degenerates. But hey, they're good people. At the end of the day, they get shit done. So with that being said, great having you show. For the audience though, how can they contact you? Where can they reach you? Yeah, maybe below this video, let's link back to my YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest way to get you can link back and from there and, you know, all my contact details if you want to reach out. We'll put it on the show notes and all that. John, pleasure having you, man. I appreciate it. Let's fucking go, baby. Thank you, man. Yeah. And don't forget, it's hard to stay humble when you're a one-man rumble. Let's go, baby. Fucking go.